brother borrowed my Bentley GT to hook up with my fiancée, but karma hit them hard when they got into an accident, now begging for my mercy to open the insurance. Hey everyone, I need to get this off my chest because I'm still processing the absolute clusterfuck my life has become over the past month. This is going to be long, but I need to lay out all the details so you understand why I'm not budging on what everyone thinks is a cruel decision. I 31 male work in commercial real estate development. Started my own firm 5 years ago after grinding for a decade learning the business. I'm not rolling in cash or anything, but I do well enough to afford some nice things, including my 2022 Bentley Continental GT that I bought last year. It's my baby. Midnight blue, cream leather interior, and it drives like a dream. I saved for 3 years to get that car, and it represents everything I worked for. My younger brother Jake, 28 male, has always been the family favorite, despite being a complete screw-up. Classic golden child syndrome, you know? While I was studying and working my ass off through college, Jake was partying and barely scraping by. When I was starting my business and living on ramen, Jake was getting bailouts from our parents every few months. The pattern never changed. Jake would get fired from jobs for showing up late or not showing up at all. He'd blow through money on stupid shit like crypto schemes or trying to become a YouTube influencer. Every time he crashed and burned, Mom and Dad would swoop in to save him. Meanwhile, when I asked to borrow $5,000 to help start my business, I got a lecture about responsibility and had to provide a detailed business plan. But I loved my brother anyway. Blood is blood, right? And I thought he was finally getting his shit together when he started dating this girl, Sarah, about 2 years ago. She seemed like a good influence, had her own marketing job, nice apartment, actually made him act like an adult for once. That's how I met my now ex-fiancée, Victoria, 26 female. She was Sarah's college roommate who moved to our city about 18 months ago. The four of us started hanging out as couples. Double dates, weekend trips, that whole thing. Victoria worked as a graphic designer for a tech startup, and she was everything I thought I wanted. Smart, beautiful, ambitious, funny. She had this way of making everyone in the room feel special. We clicked immediately. She understood my drive to build something meaningful, supported my long work hours, and never made me feel guilty about my success. When other women I dated seemed intimidated by my business or felt like I was too focused on work, Victoria encouraged me to dream bigger. She'd stay up late helping me prepare presentations, brought dinner to my office during crunch times, and genuinely seemed excited about our future together. After a year of dating, I proposed, rented out her favorite restaurant, had them play our song, the whole romantic gesture thing. She cried, said yes, and I felt like the luckiest man alive. We set a date for this coming September and started planning what we thought would be our perfect wedding. The four of us, me, Victoria, Jake, and Sarah, became really tight. We'd do everything together. Weekend trips to the mountains, beach vacations, regular dinners at each other's places. Victoria and Jake got along great, which I loved seeing. My brother could be charming when he wanted to be, and Victoria appreciated that he made me laugh and helped me relax after stressful workdays. Looking back now, I can see signs I completely missed. How Victoria would always volunteer to ride with Jake when we went places in separate cars. How she'd laugh a little too hard at his stupid jokes. How she'd text him directly about group plans instead of going through Sarah or me. But at the time, I just thought it was nice that my fiancé and my brother were close. The Bentley became part of our group dynamic too. Jake was obsessed with that car from day one, always asking to drive it, taking pictures with it, posting Instagram stories whenever we went out in it. I'd let him drive occasionally, family barbecues, short trips where I'd had a few beers. He was a decent driver, and honestly, I enjoyed seeing how excited he got about it. Victoria loved the car too, but in a different way. She appreciated the craftsmanship, the engineering, the fact that it represented my hard work. She'd always run her hand along the interior when we'd go out, and once told me it made her feel proud to be with someone who'd earned something so beautiful. 3 months ago, things started feeling off. Jake and Sarah broke up, supposedly mutual, but Sarah seemed pretty bitter about it. She stopped hanging out with us, which meant our group dynamic changed. It was just me, Victoria, and Jake now, which I didn't mind at first. Brothers and future sister-in-law bonding, right? But Victoria started acting differently. She'd be on her phone more, sometimes late at night. When I'd ask who she was texting, she'd say work stuff or her mom, but she'd always close the screen quickly. She started suggesting we include Jake in more of our plans, even romantic ones. Jake seems lonely since the breakup, she'd say. Maybe we should invite him to dinner. She also became more interested in Jake's life than seemed normal, always asking about his job search, his living situation. His dating prospects? I thought she was just being kind, trying to help my brother through a rough patch. God, I was naive. The incident happened 3 weeks ago on a Saturday. I'd been working on a big commercial development deal all week and was completely exhausted. Victoria and I had planned a quiet night in, but around 6 p.m. she said she wasn't feeling well and wanted to go home to rest. She lived about 20 minutes away in her own apartment. We were planning to move in together after the wedding. I was disappointed but understood. I told her I'd probably just order takeout and watch Netflix. She kissed me goodbye and said she'd call me tomorrow. Around 8 p.m., Jake texted me, "Hey bro, would it be cool if I borrowed the Bentley tonight? Got a date with this girl and want to impress her. Promise I'll be super careful." I hesitated. I was tired and the idea of going out to drop off the car seemed like a lot of effort. But Jake had been depressed since his breakup, and if borrowing my car would help him get back out there, why not? I texted back, "Sure, but be careful. You know how much that car means to me." He came by around 8:30 to pick it up. Seemed excited, talked about how this girl he was seeing was really special, and he wanted to make a good impression. I gave him the keys and told him to have it back by Sunday afternoon. He promised he'd treat it like his own baby. Sunday afternoon came and went. No Bentley, no Jake. I called him around 4 p.m. Straight to voicemail. Texted him, no response. I was starting to get pissed. My car wasn't some toy he could just disappear with. By 8 p.m., I was genuinely worried something had happened. I called my parents. They hadn't heard from him. I even called a few of his friends, but nobody had seen him. I spent Sunday night barely sleeping, alternating between fury and genuine concern that my brother might be hurt somewhere. Monday morning, I was about to file a police report when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Is this Axel Rivera?" The voice was professional, calm. "Yes, who's this?" "This is Officer Martinez with the state police. I'm calling about a vehicle registered to you, a 2019 Bentley Continental GT. The vehicle was involved in an accident last night." My stomach dropped. "Is my brother okay?" "Jake Rivera. He was driving it." "Mr. Rivera is in stable condition at Mercy General Hospital. There was a passenger in the vehicle as well, also stable. You'll need to come down to discuss the accident report and insurance matters." I threw on clothes and raced to the hospital, my mind spinning. Jake was okay, that was the main thing. The car could be replaced. As long as my brother wasn't seriously hurt, everything else was just money and metal. I got to the hospital and asked for Jake Rivera. The nurse directed me to room 314. I was walking down the hallway, practicing what I'd say, how I'd hug him and tell him the car didn't matter as long as he was safe, when I saw something that made me stop dead. Through the small window in the door, I could see Jake in the hospital bed, and sitting in the chair next to him, holding his hand, was Victoria, my fiancée. Still in the same clothes I'd seen her in Saturday night when she went home sick. For a moment, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. There had to be some explanation. Maybe she'd heard about the accident and come to support him. Maybe she was here as my representative since I hadn't arrived yet. But then Jake leaned over and kissed her. Not a friendly peck on the cheek. A real kiss, soft and intimate, like they'd done it 1,000 times before. I stood frozen in that hallway, watching my brother and my fiancée together in a hospital room, and felt my entire world collapse. Everything made sense now. The late-night texting, Victoria's sudden interest in Jake's life, her suggestion that we include him in our romantic plans, the way she'd volunteered to ride with him. Saturday night, when she said she was sick and going home, she'd actually been going out with Jake, in my car. The car I'd worked my ass off for, that represented everything I'd built. They'd been using it to sneak around behind my back. I pushed open the door. They both looked up, and the guilt on their faces told me everything I needed to know. "Axel!" Victoria jumped up, dropping Jake's hand like it was on fire. "I can explain." "Explain what?" My voice was deadly calm. "Explain why my fiancé is holding hands with my brother in a hospital room? Explain why you were in my car when you told me you were home sick?" Jake tried to sit up straighter in the bed, wincing. His left arm was in a sling, and he had a bandage on his forehead. "Bro, listen. Don't." I held up my hand. "Don't you fucking dare call me bro right now." The silence that followed was deafening. Victoria's face was red, tears starting to form. Jake looked like he wanted to disappear into the hospital bed. "How long?" I asked quietly. They looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. "Axel, please, let us explain," Victoria started. "How long?" I repeated, my voice harder now. 2 months, Jake whispered. 2 months, while I was planning our wedding, while I was working extra hours to save money for our honeymoon, while I was lying in bed next to her every night, trusting her completely. 2 months! I repeated, letting it sink in. And Saturday night? We didn't plan it, Victoria said quickly. It just happened. We went for dinner and started talking, and in my car. Axel, you used my car to go cheat on me with my brother. The words hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Victoria started crying harder. Jake couldn't meet my eyes. What happened? I asked. The accident. Jake cleared his throat. We were coming back from this hotel outside the city. It was late, maybe 2 a.m. She was distracting me while I was driving, and I didn't see the curve fast enough. Hit a tree. She was distracting you, how? His face turned red. I could fill in the blanks. Jesus Christ. I sank into the other chair in the room. You crashed my Bentley because you were getting a blowjob from my fiancé. Victoria sobbed harder. It wasn't like that. What was it like, Victoria? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you two have been lying to me for months, using my car for your affair. And now you've destroyed it because you couldn't keep your hands off each other long enough to drive safely. I stood up. I'm done. With both of you. I turned to leave, but Victoria grabbed my arm. Axel, please, I love you. This thing with Jake, it doesn't mean anything. It was a mistake. I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her tear-streaked face. If it doesn't mean anything, why have you been doing it for 2 months? Why were you holding his hand when I walked in here? Why did you lie to me Saturday night? She didn't have an answer. I pulled my arm free. The engagement is off. Don't contact me. I walked out of that room and didn't look back. The next few days were a blur of logistics and legal stuff. The Bentley was totaled, wrapped around a tree in what the police report called driver distraction and excessive speed. My insurance adjuster took photos, and seeing my beautiful car crumpled up like a beer can was almost as painful as the betrayal itself. Jake called me constantly. Victoria texted and emailed, both of them wanting to explain and work things out. I blocked their numbers and deleted their emails without reading them. My parents found out about the accident first. Then the affair came out. Mom called crying, saying I needed to forgive Jake because family is everything and people make mistakes. Dad was more measured, but still pushed for reconciliation. Your brother made a bad choice, but he's genuinely sorry, he said. Victoria, too. They both realized they screwed up. I told my parents what I told Jake and Victoria. I was done. There was no coming back from this level of betrayal. But then the insurance complications started. See, here's the thing nobody thinks about when they lend their car to someone. Insurance gets really complicated really fast. My policy covered the vehicle, but there were questions about whether Jake's reckless driving and the circumstances of the accident might affect the payout. The insurance company started asking detailed questions about why Jake was driving, whether I knew about his relationship with Victoria, whether this constituted some kind of insurance fraud. More importantly, Jake didn't have his own car insurance. He'd been driving my car with my permission, which meant he was covered under my policy for the accident. But that also meant he was potentially liable for damages beyond what my insurance would cover. The hotel they'd been at? Jake had booked it on a credit card that was already maxed out. The tree they hit? It was on private property, and the landowner was talking about suing for property damage and environmental cleanup. The medical bills were piling up too. Jake didn't have great health insurance through his part-time job. Within a week of the accident, Jake was looking at potentially tens of thousands of dollars in liability. Money he absolutely didn't have. That's when he came to me. I was at my office the following Friday when Jake showed up. My assistant tried to stop him, but he pushed past her and walked into my office. He looked terrible, pale, thinner, dark circles under his eyes. The sling was gone, but he was still moving carefully. Axel, we need to talk. No, we don't. Get out. Please, just hear me out. I'm in serious trouble here. I looked at him standing in my office. My brother who I'd loved and trusted my whole life, and felt nothing but disgust. Good. The insurance stuff is getting complicated. There might be gaps in coverage. I could be liable for way more than the car's value. Sucks to be you. Axel, I'm your brother. You were my brother, before you decided to fuck my fiancé in my car. He winced. I know you're mad. Mad? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Jake, mad is when someone cuts you off in traffic. What I feel for you goes way beyond mad. It just happened, okay? Victoria and I, we didn't plan it. We were both going through stuff and we connected, and for 2 months, it got out of hand. We both knew it was wrong. We were going to end it. When? Before or after you got married to her? He couldn't answer that. Here's what's going to happen, I said, leaning back in my chair. You're going to deal with your insurance problems yourself. You're going to figure out how to pay for the property damage, the medical bills, all of it. And you're going to do it without any help from me. Axel, I don't have that kind of money. You know I don't. Should have thought about that before you betrayed me. What do you want me to do? I can't turn back time. I want you to face the consequences of your actions for once in your fucking life instead of expecting someone else to bail you out. Jake's face crumpled. I'll lose everything. My credit will be ruined. I might have to declare bankruptcy. Good. Maybe that'll teach you something about actions having consequences. Please, Axel. I'll do anything to make this right. I stood up. There is nothing you can do to make this right. Nothing. You want to know what you took from me? It's not just the car, Jake. It's not even just Victoria, though that hurts like hell. You took my ability to trust anyone. You took 28 years of believing you were someone I could count on. You took my faith that family means something. He was crying now. I never meant. I don't care what you meant. I care what you did. And what you did was unforgivable. So that's it? You're just going to let me crash and burn? Yeah, Jake, that's exactly what I'm going to do. He left my office crying. I didn't feel sorry for him. Not even a little bit. But the family pressure was intense. My parents called daily. My aunt and uncle got involved. Even my grandmother, who was pushing 90, called to lecture me about forgiveness and family loyalty. That boy made a mistake, Grandma said in her shaky voice. But he's still your flesh and blood. Your parents raised you better than this. Did they, Grandma? Because they raised Jake too, and look how that turned out. The conversation went downhill from there. Mom tried a different approach. She showed up at my apartment with photo albums from when Jake and I were kids. Pictures of us building forts, playing baseball. Christmas mornings where we were both grinning with new toys. Look at these, she said, tears in her eyes. Look at how much you two loved each other. That doesn't just disappear because of one mistake. One mistake that lasted 2 months and destroyed my relationship and my car. Cars can be replaced, Axel. Brothers can't. Yeah? Well, trust can't be replaced either. And neither can my fiancé, apparently. Mom left the photo albums. I threw them in a closet without looking through them. Meanwhile, Victoria was having her own crisis. She'd quit her job. Couldn't handle the stress, according to the one mutual friend who was still talking to both of us. She'd moved back in with her parents. The wedding venue, the caterer, the photographer. I'd had to cancel everything and lose thousands in deposits. She wrote me a letter, an actual handwritten letter that she had delivered to my office. Axel, it began, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know how sorry I am. What happened with Jake wasn't about not loving you. It was about being confused and making terrible decisions. I threw away the best thing in my life for something that meant nothing. She went on for 3 pages about how Jake had pursued her, how she'd been feeling neglected because of my work schedule, how the affair was just a way of getting attention, how she'd realized Jake was just using her to get back at me for being more successful. I would do anything to take it back, she wrote. Jake means nothing to me. You are the love of my life, and I'll spend forever trying to earn your forgiveness, if you'll let me. I burned the letter without finishing it. 2 weeks after Jake's visit to my office, things got worse for him. The property owner where they'd crashed decided to sue for $50,000 in damages. Apparently, the tree they hit was some rare species that would cost a fortune to replace. Plus, there was environmental contamination from the car's fluids. Jake's medical bills were piling up too, and his part-time job's insurance was fighting coverage on some of the treatments. The insurance company was also investigating the accident more thoroughly. Turns out having sex while driving is considered reckless endangerment, and they were talking about reducing their payout or denying coverage altogether. If that happened, Jake would be liable for everything. The property damage, the medical bills, even the cost of my totaled Bentley. Dad called me at work. Axel, your brother is in real trouble. He's talking about bankruptcy, maybe even having to move back in with us. His credit is destroyed. He can't get a loan to cover any of this. Good. Like Axel? He's your brother. He was my brother. Brothers don't stab each other in the back. Everyone makes mistakes. Dad, stop. Just stop with that bullshit. This wasn't a mistake. Forgetting to put gas in someone's car is a mistake. Backing into a mailbox is a mistake. Carrying on a secret affair with your brother's fiancée for 2 months and using his car to do it isn't a mistake. It's a choice. A series of choices, all of them designed to hurt me. There was silence on the other end. He's going to lose everything, Dad said finally. He already lost everything that mattered. Now he's just losing the stuff. But the pressure kept mounting. Sarah, Jake's ex-girlfriend, called me out of the blue. Axel, I heard about what happened. I'm so sorry. Thanks, Sarah. How are you holding up? I'm okay. But I need to tell you something. About Jake and Victoria. I didn't really want to hear it, but something in her tone made me listen. The reason Jake and I broke up, she said, was because I caught him texting Victoria. This was 4 months ago, before whatever happened between them got physical. He was already interested in her then. I confronted him about it, and he said I was being paranoid. But I knew. Why didn't you tell me? I thought about it, but I didn't have proof, and I thought maybe I was just being a jealous ex-girlfriend. I figured if something was really happening, you'd figure it out yourself. 4 months! They'd been planning this, or at least thinking about it, for 4 months, while Victoria was helping me plan our wedding, while Jake was borrowing my car and acting like my best friend. There's something else, Sarah said. The night of the accident, Jake had texted me earlier that day. He was drunk, I think, and he said something about how he was going to take everything Axel has, and how you'd always been Dad's favorite, even though you pretended otherwise. What? He deleted the text later, but I screenshot it. He was talking about how you got all the breaks, how Mom and Dad pretend to treat you equally, but really you were always the golden child because you were successful. He said he was tired of living in your shadow. This was news to me. I'd always thought Jake was the favorite. Axel, I don't think this affair was just about Victoria. I think Jake was trying to hurt you specifically, like it was revenge for something. After I hung up with Sarah, I sat in my office for a long time, thinking about what she'd said. Had I been wrong about the family dynamics? Did Jake really see me as the favored child? I called my mom. Mom, can I ask you something? Of course, honey. Are you ready to talk about your brother? Actually, yeah, but not the way you think. Did Dad and you treat Jake and me differently growing up? There was a pause. What do you mean? I always thought Jake was your favorite. The way you'd bail him out, make excuses for him. I thought I was the one you expected more from. Oh, Axel. Mom's voice got soft. Honey, Jake was never our favorite. We were harder on you because we knew you could handle it. Jake always needed more help, more support. We knew you were strong enough to succeed on your own. But you gave him money, helped him out of trouble, because he couldn't manage on his own. You never needed that kind of help. From the time you were in high school, you were independent, responsible, driven. We were proud of that. But maybe we didn't tell you enough. I felt something shift in my chest. Jake thinks I was the favorite. Jake has always been jealous of you, Axel. Your father and I have tried to build him up, help him find his own path, but he's always compared himself to you. Maybe we enabled that by treating you differently, but it was because you were different. You were the strong one. After that conversation, I understood Jake's betrayal differently. It wasn't just about wanting Victoria. It was about wanting what I had, wanting to tear me down because he couldn't build himself up. That made it worse somehow. Jake showed up at my apartment that weekend. I almost didn't let him in, but I was curious what new angle he'd try. He looked even worse than before. Thinner, more desperate. Axel, please, I'm begging you. For what? Help me with the insurance stuff. If you could just call them, tell them you're not going to pursue maximum coverage, maybe they'll settle for less. Or if you could help me with a loan, no. I'll pay you back. I swear I will. I'll get a better job. With what skills, Jake? What exactly are you going to do that you haven't been able to do for the past 10 years? I don't know. Something. Anything. Axel, they're talking about garnishing my wages for the next 20 years. I'll never recover from this. Good. Maybe you'll finally understand what consequences feel like. This isn't just about consequences anymore. You're being cruel. I'm being cruel. I laughed. Jake, you fucked my fiancé in my car. You planned it for months. You used my trust, my generosity, my love for you as weapons against me. And now you want me to help you avoid the consequences because facing them is hard? I made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake, I was shouting now. A mistake is something you do once without thinking. You made a choice every single day for months to keep betraying me. You chose to text Victoria behind my back. You chose to meet up with her secretly. You chose to lie to my face every time I saw you. You chose to use my car for your fucking affair. Those weren't mistakes, Jake. They were deliberate acts of betrayal. He was crying again. I know I hurt you. I know I fucked up. But I'm still your brother. No, you're not. My brother wouldn't have done this to me. My brother would have come to me if he had feelings for Victoria. My brother would have respected my relationship and found someone else. My brother would have cared more about our family than about getting laid. Please, Axel, I'll do anything. There's nothing you can do. And even if there was, I wouldn't let you. You want to know why? Because helping you would send the message that this kind of betrayal is survivable. That family loyalty only goes one way. That I'm such a pushover that I'll bail out someone who tried to destroy my life. It wasn't about destroying your life. Bullshit. Sarah told me about your text. About how you wanted to take everything I had. About how you were tired of living in my shadow. This was about you trying to tear me down. Because you were too weak to build yourself up. Jake's face went white. She told you about that? Yeah, she did. So don't stand there and tell me this was just about attraction, or a mistake, or whatever other bullshit excuse you've come up with. You wanted to hurt me, and you did. Congratulations. But now you get to live with the results. Jake left after that, and I haven't seen him since. The insurance company ended up denying most of the claim, citing reckless driving and misuse of the vehicle. Jake was on the hook for almost everything: the property damage, most of the medical bills, and he had to declare bankruptcy within a month. Victoria tried reaching out a few more times, but I ignored all of it. I heard through mutual friends that she'd moved back to her hometown and was living with her parents. The guilt was eating her alive, apparently. She'd gained weight, was seeing a therapist, couldn't hold down a job. I didn't feel sorry for her either. My parents tried one last intervention. They invited me to Sunday dinner and ambushed me with Jake being there. He looked terrible, 20 pounds lighter, hollow-eyed, wearing clothes that looked like they came from a thrift store. Axel, Mom said, we think it's time for this family to heal. Jake's learned his lesson, Dad added. He's lost everything. Isn't that punishment enough? I looked at Jake, who couldn't meet my eyes. Have you learned your lesson, Jake? Yes, he whispered. What did you learn? That what I did was wrong, that I hurt you. That's not what I asked. What did you learn? He looked confused. Did you learn that actions have consequences? Did you learn that other people's trust is precious and shouldn't be violated? Did you learn that family loyalty means something? Did you learn that you can't just apologize your way out of betraying someone? He didn't answer. No, I said, standing up. You learned that getting caught sucks. You learned that facing consequences is hard. You learned that your safety net isn't as secure as you thought. But you didn't learn anything about treating people with respect, or being trustworthy, or taking responsibility for your choices. Axel, Mom started. No, Mom. You want to forgive him? That's your choice. You want to help him rebuild his life? Go ahead, but I'm done. Jake burned the bridge between us when he decided my fiancée was more important than our relationship. There's no rebuilding from that. I left and haven't been back to family dinner since. That was 6 months ago. Jake ended up moving back in with our parents and working at a grocery store for barely above minimum wage. Most of his paycheck goes to paying off debt from the accident and bankruptcy. Victoria moved across the country and changed her phone number. I heard she's engaged to someone else now, which is probably the best thing for everyone involved. I bought a new car, a BMW this time. Not quite as flashy as the Bentley, but it's mine and nobody else has ever touched it. I'm dating someone new too, though I'm taking it very slowly. Trust doesn't come as easily as it used to. My parents still think I'm being too harsh. Other family members have weighed in on both sides. Some think I'm justified. Others think I should forgive and move on. Jake sent me a card on my birthday with a long handwritten note about how sorry he was and how much he missed me. I threw it away without reading it all. People ask me if I'll ever forgive him. Honestly, I don't know. Right now, the anger has faded to indifference. I don't actively hate Jake anymore. I just don't think about him. He's like a stranger to me now. Someone who used to be in my life but isn't anymore. Maybe someday I'll feel differently. Maybe in 10 years, when the pain has faded and Jake has actually proven he's changed, we could have some kind of relationship again. But it would never be the same. It could never be the same. The trust is gone. And trust, once broken like that, doesn't just grow back. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. And I'm okay with that. Update. It's been a year since I originally posted this, and people keep asking what's happened since. Jake is still living with our parents and working retail. He's tried reaching out a few times, cards on holidays, messages through mutual friends, but I haven't responded. Victoria apparently broke up with her new guy and tried contacting me through social media. I blocked her immediately. Some wounds don't need to be reopened. I'm doing well. The new business is thriving. I'm in a good relationship with someone who's never met Jake and never will, and I've learned to trust again, just more carefully. My parents have stopped pressuring me to reconcile. I think they finally understand that some damage can't be undone. We have a good relationship now, actually better than before because there's no Jake drama complicating everything. People still ask if I regret being so harsh. The answer is no. Setting boundaries and enforcing consequences isn't cruel. It's necessary. Jake learned that actions have real repercussions, something he'd never learned before. Whether he's actually grown from that experience, I don't know and don't care. I'm living my life, and he's living his. That's how it should be.